26. Would like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Hoop.
Here.
Dole.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Pilbeam.
Here.
Wyland.
Here.
Carson. Here. Motel.
Here. We'd like to approve the minutes for the meeting that took place on Tuesday, July 14th. Does anyone have any additions or corrections they'd like to make to those minutes? Okay, seeing none, I'd like a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion, or second. Go ahead, Dolly.
Either one.
Motion by Carson, seconded by Wyland. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to public participation. The only one who signed up this evening to speak was Bob Forsyth.
Talking about the growth, and I remember at the board meetings, CJ wanting to reach out to Economic Alliance Board. Please, whatever you do, tread lightly with that group of individuals. If you've ever been to those meetings, you'll know exactly what I mean. Look at the people on that board, and then look around and see what gets sold. And then think about what the Economic Alliance has done for Kankakee County. Not a lot. Businesses have left. Look at Moments. Moments is a great example of what the Economic Alliance has done. And look what they've done to us here. Backdoor deal. They're not a group of people to align yourself with. The county shouldn't be funding them. Nobody should be funding them. So if you think that's a good idea to run with the Economic Alliance Board, you guys are wrong. I've been there and I've seen it. And they're a very selfish group of individuals.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Bergdahl, you came in after the sheet was taken. Did you have something you would like to say?
I always have something to say.
I just wanted to ask if you wanted the opportunity, that's all.
Sure. I'm going stir crazy. Sitting in the house for a month, not able to walk. About a month ago, the village board had a discussion about building a new parking lot. And at some point in history, the parking lot that they had discussed made a lot of sense, given what they were expecting was going to happen. However, I can tell you that my dad lived in the apartment at 42 South Oak, across the street from where this new parking lot has been proposed. And I can tell you, not a thing has changed on that block since my father passed away 40 years ago. The need for a parking lot in that location today doesn't make any sense. Sure, they've redeveloped the former Schreffler Harley-Davidson building for the whatever time. But in driving through the neighborhood, I drove through twice a day, every day before I fell apart. Just kind of counted cars. And the statistics were that there's like 70 parking spaces along the tracks there. And if you look at the property, the parking lot between the fitness center and the health center, there's like 13 spaces in there. And there's about another 40 spaces behind the strip mall building where the Fitness Premier is down to Odekirk's. So you got about 125 parking spaces plus on-street parking for that half a block. Whoever was thinking it would be a good idea to build another parking lot there wasn't thinking it through. Because driving through twice a day, usually once late in the morning or early in the afternoon, and once after late afternoon or early evening, I never saw more than 28 cars in the parking lots. Why are we considering building $300,000, $500,000, $600,000 worth of parking lot when the existing parking within half a block away is only getting utilized about 20%, 25% at the most? When people propose these concepts cold, they sound good. But after you look at them, you analyze what the actual need is and what's going on. And I understand that it looks really busy on nights the pool hall is busy. But the reality is, you've got 140, give or take, parking spots there on that half of the block. I haven't checked, but my guess is fire code won't let them put 140 people into the pool hall. That said, where is the need for building a parking lot? Too many people think an idea is good and don't do the math. They don't analyze the existing conditions. That something's been sticking in my craw now for a month because I keep missing showing up to sign up. And again, you need to look at what is the need for something if you're going to spend a bunch of money potentially developing something. All right, I'm going to shut up and sit down. My ankle hurts.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, we have no public hearings on the agenda this evening. Our old business is to continue the discussion of village growth. Topics that were touched on last meeting, we discussed the potential for trying to find a way to bring a Sam's Club to Manteno. And I touched on the fact that residents still express to me they desire a few more diverse options for restaurants. I just wanted to make mention real quick, too, that while it is very difficult for us as the commission to discuss or target certain businesses, organizations, or developments in general, well, I guess we can developments in general, but specific businesses would be a little more difficult. Our goal is to mainly make sure we have sorted out the zoning for future use. And I'm sure all of us have had to deal with it, but 9,000 is currently being worked on to expand. So with that being said, I believe 9,000 right now should kind of be our area of focus, because once that project's completed, I believe that will be the catalyst that brings more opportunity and growth to the village, as Mr. Bergdahl has mentioned in the past. I'm confident that a very large gas station would be looking to purchase one of the corners on 9,000 off of Spruce, on the west side of Spruce there, knowing that that road, once that road is completed, 2027, 2028, IDOT will be expanding and updating our overpass. Currently, that's all zoned for commercial use. So we have to think about how we'd like that used as well, not just for commercial purposes, but if we could target specific things, maybe, you know, another grocery store on the west side of town. Because if we're going to sprawl out, we're going to need some stuff on the west side of town. Any of the commissioners have anything they'd like to bring up, mention on growth?
No, I mean, I agree with that whole road being done, but when are they slated to do the actual bridge? I know they want to have that expansion of the 4 lanes done by 27, 28, but any word on when they're going to actually start the bridge?
So I did reach out to the representative in Ottawa, this is his district, and he told me that the earliest they could even begin surveying would be late 27, early 28.
So survey, yeah. Because I built plenty of bridges in my career, and that's usually an 18-month to 2-year project
Oh,
from start to finish. So
without a doubt.
That puts us way out still for development over there.
I understand, but so I'm confident there might be some gas stations that might start eyeing property over there, or anyone else, that you get in before that update takes place, this is a prime opportunity. So that would go back to falling back on us as well as the village board, thinking of how we want to market Manteno. I think if all of us get together and have discussion on what we would like to market, we could know who to possibly contact or engage in discussion with to see if they'd be interested in coming to our community. Any commissioners have anything else? No?
Paul,
Mayor
I
Lamore?
would just like to make an announcement that Copeland's has been purchased, and Lauren Stauffenberg and her husband Justin are going to be opening the Lush Vine in the very near future, because for the last month, they've been remodeling, and it's going to be the Lush Vine that was formerly at the Majestic Theater in Kankakee. It's been there for 3 years, very successful business. They wanted more space, and when they found Copeland's building, they were thrilled. So they will have food. There'll be food items. They told me right now it's going to be shareable food items and flatbreads and maybe some pizza because people are asking for it. But they'll have a wine bar, and it's going to be a beautiful building. They put in a backrest bench all along the north wall in the main room when you walk into the main entrance there. So they've changed the seating, and it's going to be very comfortable. And some of the things are going to stay, like the pictures of Old Manteno, but they are making a few changes. So watch for them to announce their opening. It's going to happen real soon.
Okay, so they will announce that,
They will.
social media? or-
And they're not staying at the Majestic. They've moved the whole business to Manteno. So they're a young
Okay.
couple. They're very excited, and I think everybody in the community should try and go in there and welcome them and try out their food items and try a beverage. And that's how you keep businesses.
So there we have it. We have a new dining option moving to Manteno. My wife will be thrilled because she loves wine. She's going to kill me. Yeah. Some new, sorry.
I didn't sign
Sure.
up at the podium, it just came to my head. Did anybody see that article about Costco, what their new plan is gonna be for new stores?
No, I didn't happen to see.
They're not looking for population for the new stores, they're looking for acreage, because they have such problems with parking at their stores now, with congestion and people fighting and stuff going on, that they said their new game plan was gonna look for acreage to put their new Costco stores on. So, hey, Kankakee County has a lot of acreage, don't we?
Yes, I agree. That's very interesting.
Follow up on that or not?
Would it be possible for you to,
I wrote them a letter.
oh,
I can also add that there are 118,000 residents in Kankakee County.
118,000 in the county? Okay.
the county.
George, would it be possible for you to possibly email me that article or whatever source?
Find it, I don't know if I can find it. You know,
I'll do my best to try to find it as well. Okay, another topic I wanted to touch on was the overpass project in general. I'm aware that the board did vote to set aside some funds for any upgrades that would be the village's responsibility. And one thing I continuously see and hear about is the desire for a walking path or something for the overpass that would allow golf cart usage. I have been active on some of those posts, touching on how, at the moment, the golf carts and what are they considered? They're low-speed vehicles. LSVs are prohibited from the overpass due to the fact that it is maintained by the state. So anything that uses a state roadway or it must be manufactured to federal motor vehicle standards. I have reached out to the same representative for information regarding the possibility of making that golf cart, or I'm sorry, that walking path accessible to golf carts. If there's any signage or lighting we'd need to install. A lot of them actually indicate concrete curbs for separation. So again, it could get expensive fast. I'm pretty sure the state would kind of make that our responsibility if it was our desire. So I'm waiting to hear back from him.
Something else I want to add. I've been told that there are golf carts going to 10,000 North Road to come into town over 57, that really high overpass. That is so unsafe, and it is against the law. So I've talked to some township officials about this, and they've asked that we put up signs that say no golf carts past this point, so that golf carts will not go over that bridge, because you don't know what's coming from the other side. And a slow-moving vehicle meeting a vehicle that's going 55 or 60 miles an hour could be a horrible accident. So there are signs that we're going to put up, one over on Cypress, I believe that's the name of the street. It goes through by Lake Walden, and one on Beauchamp, so that if people are traveling on Beauchamp towards Legacy Park, when they get to that corner, there will be a sign that says no golf carts turning left. Because it is against the law, and it's very, very unsafe, and we don't want anybody to have an accident. So.
Okay, so there we have it. A lot of the residents on the west side of town are quite unhappy about the fact that we're restricted to the west side of town for golf carts or low-speed vehicles, and there aren't any events that we can attend, like the square or taking our kids to soccer or baseball at the parks with them. So as soon as I hear back from that representative, I'll be sure to forward that information to the board as well.
If we are able to watch our verbiage and ask for an expanded thing, we might be able to get away with it. That's what I've been told. I mean, it's going to be a touch and go situation because it's going to be local control because I agree we need a passway. So we're already asking, I think, in design plans to expand it. And we're just saying we want an expanded one.
So I've seen 3 varying widths for walking paths. They're 10, 12, and 14 feet. Do you happen to know which width we were?
I don't. I just know that we're going to try to get it as wide as possible. And when we are preparing for this, to cover those extra costs, because obviously the state will only pay for so wide of a path, but we might want to widen because, again, of what you're saying, connecting the town in a way for those slow-moving vehicles. We just have to be aware of what we're saying in meetings so that the state can't come back and be like, you guys were planning this all along, kind of a way. I hate to say it like that, but it's to get what we want done, to make it fair, that's how we got to kind of be aware of it, because it's unfair that our town cannot safely cross in the west side. I mean, you're limited with a golf cart on the west side of town. Right. When I lived over there. Like, it is. So it's how do we do this in the best way and the safest way possible with that. So maybe, like you said, looking at the curbage could be a good way to do it.
I have another option. Why not find a spot on this side of town where people can keep their golf carts? Maybe rent a spot, maybe rent of one of those storage containers, that they have in different spots to keep your golf cart on this side of 57.
I feel like golf carts are convenient, so if you have to store it across town, you're just gonna say, stay in a truck.
Well, if you just did it for the summer months, at least you could drive in and get on your golf cart and go wherever you want to go. I mean, it is an option.
An underpass wouldn't be a bad idea. They could be
That gets it.
negotiated wide, the culverts there, about
That gets extremely expensive as well too, because you're undermining the highway then. So like the closest one, I think we have two around here, one down in Champaign where they have the golf cart that's been there for,
Right.
or the golf course, sorry, for years, and then also up, where did I just see one at? Up somewhere towards Elmhurst off 355, but they actually designed it in when they were building 355 years ago.
Right, it was a lot more efficient and effective.
Correct, to do it right away, sort of like we're here, instead of
While we're
strong
doing it
engineering.
now,
Yeah,
we can do it, we can engineer it, all those costs would get included in your original plans. And what you couldn't, you could get grants for, I mean, you get 80–90% of it, the additional costs paid for through state and federal grants. If you make it handicap accessible or access to schools is a big thing. Plus, it would open up everything on the east side from everybody in the west side.
yes.
I mean, beautiful Legacy Park, they don't have access to. Beautiful Heritage Park, they don't have access to. You know, is the 12-foot wide overpass next to the highway the best use of the funds that we're gonna use? Because we can't use a golf cart there, it's gotta be 14. But if you're gonna do an underpass, all they have to do is pull that bottom slab up. All they have to do, you know.
It's a lot more.
Yeah, but from this point where they're at, while they're there, they can take a look at it and see how feasible it is, because it's a culvert, stormwater culvert.
Yeah, well, they've done away with like the culverts years ago, it'd be all concrete and.
Yeah, right.
Like any other state, especially our state,
Sure.
it's gonna be done the right way, so
Sure.
you know what that means, just more money, so.
Right.
Going back to like what CJ said, I think a lot of it's verbiage, how we use it, Paul, so like, when you're asking questions, and my experience with bridges, careful what you ask, because if it's not worded correctly, they're gonna look at it as it's another motor vehicle going over, you know, and that could say I have no idea what we set aside as a village for that. That could bring you a couple $100,000 to well over into the millions to have an extra lane of traffic because of motorized vehicles, so maybe just get as wide as we can and down the road. I mean, there's definitely a use to have it. It'd be a wonderful thing for everyone over there. But
I will make note of that, Commissioner Wyland, and before I reach out in the future, I will consult you.
yes,
I'm not.
no,
being
I
funny at all.
absolutely. I think
I think we need to get our heads together on all of this, because we're gonna make a genuine effort to improve everything around here. Touching on, what Mr. Graham had mentioned was overall access. Another new topic I wanted to mention was when this overpass project was going to begin, or the underpass, as Mr. Graham had mentioned, we kind of need to find a way to incorporate connecting the walking paths. Because we've got Winfield, there's a path that ends approaching 57. If that path can come south, and we can get back towards Spruce, and I know the path is gonna extend down 9,000 as well, out west, but this overpass path can connect over by Thies Park, which would bring you to that path at Leahy Circle. So if we could kind of figure out a way to potentially interconnect a handful, and I know the Winfield one's way off of the 9,000 overpass, but if we started to bring that back south, to figure out a way to get everything to connect back to 9,000, it would help with access, and those who want to go for a long jog or bike ride, I think would enjoy it. Anyone else have any new topics they'd like to explore for discussion on growth? Mr. Bergdahl?
I have a comment about your bike paths in general, because I've been dealing with bike paths for 30 years in the county. There is actually a village Greenways and Trails plan somewhere. I don't remember the last time it was updated, but there's actually maps showing the proposed locations of bike paths.
Okay.
Well, bike paths originally, they're multi-use trails now.
I'll look into those and see if I can find them.
If you can't find one existing, if you talk to Del Skimmerhorn at the County Planning Department, he did all of the village's maps back in the day, and he could probably print you out one or two if you have to go that far.
Thank you.
I can tell you that when the village first did their first Greenways and Trails plan in the mid-90s, the concept of crossing 57 there at the big swale was the main concept, because nobody had thought about how do you cross 57. After dealing with multiple versions of the county Greenways and Trails plan, and talking to multiple engineers, the reality is you're probably not going to get approval from IDOT to do anything other than a bike path lane and an overpass.
Okay.
I understand the underpass concept, but the reality is, I don't think IDOT's the slightest bit inclined to approve something like that, simply because an underpass might be subject to flooding. Because of that, I don't think IDOT would be interested in the liability. The original village idea was, well, we could build a ramp of our own, basically over the interstate. And number one, IDOT's probably not going to approve it. Number two, it would be ridiculously expensive. I mean, it was a couple $1 million 30 years ago. I can't picture what it would cost now. However, when you get the Greenways and Trails plan, you need to look at it and see if it needs to be updated. Because like I said, I don't know the last time it was updated. Because if you show your plan is putting a bike path on both sides of a ramp, whether it's 9,000 or 10,000, IDOT is largely forced to pay for whatever size minimum, at least minimum, lane when they rebuild the ramp.
Okay.
But if you don't update the plan, and if you don't have a bike path going from up Spruce to 10 and crossing over to Legacy Park, they might say, well, you've only got a plan showing it on one side, because your plan only shows one side. We don't want to have to pay for it. But if your plan shows both sides, they're largely committed to paying for that. So, yeah, the plan exists. I don't know the last time it was updated. But it's the kind of tool that people do and put on a shelf and they forget about. Then you have people like me been around too long and keep going, well, why don't you just go get the map?
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. And I will reach out to Mr. Skimmerhorn, and if I get that information, I will forward that information to all the commissioners as well as you, CJ and Annette. Moving on. Anything else? Anyone else would like to add to explore Village Grove?
The only other thing I would touch on, just going back to like the bike pass, and Frankfurt years ago, I want to say late 90s, early 2000s, they had the same issue with their bike pass going over 45 there, which is a 2-lane highway. And don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that back in that era, which is 30 years ago, it was like $3.1 million, sort of rings a bell, but something, and that's just for a rather narrow bridge that went on 45 right by the creamery there.
Wasn't that an old rail crossing or something?
Railroad
That
crossing
was
is south of there.
because it does go
Yes.
under there.
Yeah, so they went over, and that was a very big project for them, and it's just a walking and bike path, and you figure going back over 30 years, I've been in construction 30 years, it's gonna be a big price difference, you know, you 3.1 then compared to, like you're saying, it'd
And
be a lot.
57 is going to be
a lot bigger
A
and,
lot wider because of the median
yeah.
and all that stuff, yeah, it would be astronomical.
All right.
The only thing I had, and we kind of talked about this last meeting too, of like, when we were talking about if we wanted a comprehensive plan or a survey. And when I talked to the Economic Alliance, and I was already kind of leaning this way, is before we do a comprehensive plan, again, we're trying to figure out what we want. Obviously, the bike pass, and then like Paul mentioned, again, do we want gas stations, a grocery store, with that kind of stuff? Is just maybe asking the town, again, we're gonna get a million ideas, but asking the town, what would you want? And if you do want a new grocery store, if you do want a new restaurant, if you do want even that smaller Costco, if they needed X, would you be willing to kind of have it? So something I did, and again, I just made a lot of these questions up, but I just thought you guys would be a good kind of reference as kind of the community figures here of kind of what kind of questions would we want to ask our town? What kind of questions do we want to ask our town with it? So some of these are very basic. Some of these are, and then it kind of gets into it like, what do we think we're missing in town? Is it restaurants? Is it small businesses? Is it manufacturing? Is it healthcare? Stuff like that. And it kind of goes like on scales then of like, what do you want? Would you be willing to want it? So like, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but like, question 8 says, a lot of these growths would require the town to grow by about 1,000 to 3,000. Would you still want this if that was the case? Because I think that, to me, is the question we need to find out is, yes, we love a new restaurant. Yes, we love more business. But if 75, 80% of the town's saying, we don't want to grow that much, well, then we just got to recognize that the town doesn't want that. But if 50%, 60% says, you know, yeah, we're willing to grow 1,000, 2,000, whatever for it, that gives us, I feel like, a little bit more room to play with of this is what the town kind of wants in a way on there. So I just thought it's something I want you guys to kind of look over, think about. I like this question, I don't like this question, you should ask this too, all that kind of stuff. I think this could be a good reference to kind of find out where the pulse of the town is on everything when it comes to growth. And then we could kind of hone in on grocery stores or retail stores or restaurants and be like, okay, here's what the town's willing to do for those things on that kind of stuff. I also threw on there, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of it, but every flippin' little town is asked about data centers, so I also put some kind of potential questions on that we could also get a pulse from the town on, do you want data centers? Do you not want data centers? What would it require for us to get a data center? With that kind of stuff. And again, I'm not saying we should do it. I just think it's a good kind of question to kind of ask our town is, I think, I don't know, if we've been asked, I know at one point the mayor said like people have been reaching out to her. So like every town I feel like in our area is getting reached out to right now on it. That way we have an idea of like, if we don't want a data center, then we don't even want the medians. But if we do, then here's kind of an idea. I don't know. I mean, that's something we definitely want the town support on. So I just threw those questions in there too, and then some other stuff also. So I just thought you guys would take a look at that, and then we can talk about the next meeting of like, I just think this could be a good way to go for our town to kind of get a pulse.
No, I actually believe it's an excellent way to go, because I have been mentioning we needed to make more effort to get the residents involved. I understand the residents trust that we're in our position and you guys are elected to your positions to make some of these tough decisions for us, but at some point we do need input from them, and I welcome it. And with doing something like this, and as I mentioned earlier about the 9,000 widening project being completed and a new gas station would most likely come in, we could hang back on a comprehensive plan to see what that brings to where we're not spending money on a comprehensive plan, that there's action, there's things coming to town already that it may drive some growth without spending that money on a plan. All right, anyone else have anything else they'd like to add? Any updates or comments before adjournment?
I just want to mention that I went into the farmer's elevator and talked to the manager, Janet, and she gave me some paperwork and said, this is something that we've talked about with our board members. We're going to be painting the silo again that says, welcome to Mantino. It needs to be painted again sometime in the next year or two. And they're coming up with different ideas on what to put on there instead of just those letters. And it's gonna involve more money. It's gonna involve as much as $75,000. And she just asked me to find out if there was any support for that from the village, from the township, from any of the organizations in Manteno who might wanna help with that.
Okay, and these are the 3 samples of what schemes or what the murals may look like.
We wanna pass those around so people can just look
Sure.
at them. A couple are more ornate. One of them is a little plainer, and it just shows a little bit of structure in the town. A slight landscape at the bottom, and then the other ones are very decorative. So the more paint you use, of course, the more expensive it's gonna be. But would that be something that people would come into town and say, wow, you know, that's really awesome? Would that be an attractive thing to embellish Manteno? I don't know.
I think it would be attractive. Will these samples, can we get copies of those made?
We'll make some copies.
Ask residents to stop in at Village Hall and
Sure.
maybe make a post on social media about it. While we're here as well, I wanted to ask all the commissioners if you guys received the email for the updated zoning map from Chris last week?
I didn't check my email in the last 2 days, to be honest with you.
Oh,
so-
okay.
It was last week.
It was last week, and I didn't receive it, no.
No? Okay. I will forward that to you, so.
July 30th.
I requested an updated map for all the zoning districts in town, and it is the 2025 version map. And
This
that,
is what it looks like printed
I
out.
just,
You can't see it.
I'll send an email requesting. Currently, the website has the 2023 zoning map available. So if we could possibly get that updated, as well as the new commission members updated on the website as well. All right,
Paul, I did receive it, I apologize.
thank you.
Thank you, Dolly, for the date on that.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure everyone received it, because if not, I'll forward it. All right, if no one else has any comments or any other input?
Paul,
Yes, Dave.
I have another suggestion for you.
All right.
In my time, I found it very useful if you got the blown-up maps of the specific areas you were looking to do planning on. Perhaps when you go talk with Dell, you could ask him if he could do a bigger map from McDonald's to quarter mile west of 45, of 9,000 north. So it's big enough you could tape it up on the wall and you could point at it and people could see what you're actually talking about. A lot of times if you're talking about it in the abstract, it's hard to pick up if you're all in the same corner, same section, particularly if you start talking about something in the middle, of the block.
I agree. I have thought about visual aids or requesting some of the visual aids to be displayed, since now that the meetings are recorded and broadcast on YouTube, it would help if they were played or shown on the screen for the residents watching at home as well. So I will speak to Mr. Skimmerhorn about that as well. All right. With all that being said, I think we made some great progress this evening. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Pilbeam, second by Hoop. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming.
If any